I'm Jennifer Berger. I'm the executive director of About Face. We're a Bay Area nonprofit that inspires teen girls to improve their body image and self-esteem through tools for understanding their media environment and ways of taking action to change it. I'm also a founding member of the Alliance for Girls, and I'm the co-chair of the Membership Engagement Committee, and a member of the advisory board. So this afternoon is a big step for girls in the Bay Area and also for the Alliance for Girls. 6 years ago, I was one of 7 nonprofit executive directors that the Eva Gunther Foundation brought together to talk about what we needed and what we wanted for ourselves and for other Bay Area leaders of girls. We wanted infrastructure through which organizations could share resources, collaborate, and effectively refer girls to appropriate services. We wanted leadership development for nonprofit leaders and emerging leaders. We wanted advocacy around policy and funding for the girl-serving sector. And we set a mission. Alliance for Girls ensures girl-serving organizations are more connected, more effective, and better able to prepare the girls of today to be the leaders, agents of change, and thriving women of tomorrow. We moved forward. 3 years ago, we launched officially with 80 attendees at that first conference, and we set an agenda. Since then, we've moved forward. In leadership development, 92% of members report that Alliance for Girls events and services have helped them more effectively meet their organization's mission, and 100% reported that leadership has been enhanced within their agency because of Alliance for Girls. Very exciting. In collaboration, in the last 3 years, Alliance for Girls has facilitated more than a dozen collaborations between organizations, leading to the creation of sustainable programming and expanded opportunities for girls. And my organization is one of those that did collaborations with other organizations, so also yay. In advocacy, in 2013, Alliance for Girls successfully advocated for the San Francisco Department of Children, Youth, and Their Families to restore $340,000 to its members after the department disproportionately cut girls' services. And last year, the Alliance for Girls successfully advocated for the legislation that designates more than $50 million annually for youth services in San Francisco to include gender-responsive and culturally responsive services with prioritization of girls and LGBTQ youth. Not only that, but then this year, Alliance for Girls received a $90,000 federal grant to support the creation of partnerships between youth-serving government agencies and Alliance for Girls membership organizations. Yay, that's so awesome. It's all great, right? It's all great. So you can hear that through persistent work and the leadership of our director, Emma Mayerson, we've accomplished a lot of our goals, so it's time to move forward and think about what else we can do. We've made serious progress, and now we have a new horizon. So the question is, what's possible now that wasn't possible then? This afternoon is all about tapping the collective intelligence in the room. What do we want the Alliance for Girls to do next for girls in the Bay Area? It's a huge question. That's the question we get to answer together this afternoon. We're going to create a girls' agenda. Is everyone up for it? Are we going to do it? Love it. Good. We went from 7 people to 80 people to now 200 people in this room. It's a challenge to bring together the ideas of 200 people, but we have an effective, efficient process for hearing from everyone. It's going to be exciting. So let's create something great today. Here to facilitate the process is Laura Peck. She's a consultant and leadership coach. She's the principal of Claros Group. Thank you, Laura. Come on up.
Well, let's see. Credentials. I'm the parent of a daughter. My first paying job out of college was working in a group home for teenage girls. And I have an incredible passion about what's possible when people can talk about the issues that matter most to them. And now it's time to say, well, now what? So what? What do we want to do about it? And we're looking for that sweet spot between what's possible, what you'd like to see happen, what you think is really calling for our time and our attention now, and the intersection of that and what you actually have juice and commitment and energy to do something about. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to be moving around today. So you'll both be in a circle of conversation, and then you will have somebody stay, and everyone is going to disperse and cross-pollinate to other tables. So your first question is to briefly introduce yourself, and then as you think back over the ideas and stories and conversations of the conference so far, what is one thing that really struck you or stood out for you? And it might be something that's on the category of an aha, like, I never thought about that, that's a new insight. And it might be something that's more like a BFO, a blinding flash of the obvious, like you remembered something, that statistic about about human trafficking, that was like, whoa. So lean in. You have about 10 minutes. You're going to share what struck you, so you're reflecting on your experience so far to kind of prime the pump about where we'll be going, and you're connecting with each other. Go. We're going to do a harvest, capture the first round of ideas.
What specifically contributed to this amazing success? I think education was big, and I think that we thought it was a great idea that the girls that are in our program now would be the people in our education system in 2025.
So we would like to see every girl have a safe home to live in.
We were talking about, inspired by the comment that was made that the boys didn't even really realize that there was a problem, is bringing that awareness into being what is normal, so that the treatment becomes more what we like, and that they are also empowered by that instead of by force and putting down.
Inspiring confidence in girls as they go forward in the next 10 years.
And we asked about 30 young women this question, and they came up, one of the things that really surprised me is they identified that the media was the major cause of, they thought of body image, self-esteem, and unhealthy relationships. And so their vision is that they would be the creators of the media. The other thing that they came up with, they thought it was the importance of a safe space, and that safe space was in nature. It included movement and art and poetry, and it had a big fountain in the middle, so having a beautiful safe space.
We envision a holistic approach that integrates love into safety, education, and all the things that affect our lives.
We kept circling back to basic infrastructure. The vision that we saw for girls included that there was free childcare, that they had food every day, that they had housing, and those basic crises, which tend to fall to women, weren't things that girls were saying, oh wait, I'm going to have to solve that, and having that upcoming anxiety of, can I really do this thing if women above me are struggling so much?
We felt that healthcare and education universal should happen, and so what we see in 10 years is a clinic in all the schools, middle and high school, as well as preschools for every school, and that way we would have access.
We really tuned into the power of community and corporations, and the vision of having corporations that are incredibly successful in this area connecting with the community and making sure that they were part of providing the housing and providing the infrastructure, so that there would be also a wonderful feedback loop where then the girls and all the kids in the community would want to be a part of STEM and get more involved in the very things that would make those corporations more successful.
Living wages, and I think that it's important to speak on that because what comes, families having living wages. What comes out of that is children in homes who are now thinking like adults because rent is due. We don't have enough money for this, we don't have enough money for that. What that creates is children who are not being children, who are being adults and not able to actually experience childhood.
That every person feels as though they have a community,
so that they're not feeling as though they're maneuvering this big, vast, ocean of life on their own. So some community out there for every single person.
Is around this co-creation of a vision. And I think the more we can continue to do that is a lot of what we're talking about. We all have different ideas, and if we're going to get there together, then we've got to co-create it from the beginning.
Mainstreaming the topic of girls into the issues of poverty, racism, and inequality. Just to, every time we talk about those issues, talk about how it impacts girls.
Our vision was that when girls speak, that they will truly be empowered and they will be listened to.
Moving away from gender neutrality to gender equality that recognizes that women and girls have specific needs, and having healthcare plans that recognize that.
As you reflect on what you heard in that last round, what stood out for you, what really struck you? Like, yes, that. And what activated you? What was inspiring or surprising? And what, if anything, is missing? There are two more parts of our work together. The first part is to collect up what some of the new elements of the vision were, what either got reinforced or needs to be added or fleshed out. The second part is about individual commitment. We talked about what was at the intersection of passion and commitment. So I want you to listen into, I invite you to listen into this next round, to think about what you've been part of today, and then to use the Post-its with your name on the bottom to identify, this is what I think we should be focusing on as an alliance, and this is what I'm willing to work on. So unless it meets both those requirements, really important to do, and something I'm willing to put some sweat equity into as an individual, as an organization, it shouldn't go up there. We're not building, someone said here so beautifully that a vision needs to be co-created. Well, people commit to what they co-create, but they also co-create what they commit to.
One thing that our group talked about was about making sure that whenever people work together, they put some mindful attention on trying to decide, is there anyone who should be in the conversation who is not yet in it, and how they might open it up to such individuals.
Zero tolerance for men or boys to put their hands on any woman or girl without permission.
How to include boys in the conversation? That, like, if there's the gap, at what level, in what forums, how the alliance can engage, because we can't do this in isolation. Creating a true, both a pathway for girls in terms of which services they can access at different ages or at different stages of development.
My body, my choice, but that without choice, we really can't do anything. We can't get educated, we can't get a job. Can we feed ourselves? Can we get shelter? And really about valuing our bodies as young women, but also making sure that young women have access and choice.
More education with young men and you know, women and girl servant initiatives that come together to like build a gender responsive kind of space.
I think even if we're thinking about 2025 or 2050, I need to be reminded, and I need to know what I can do every day, every week, every month to make sure that, you know, the next generation of girls is going to have it a lot better than I did. And so I need to know about I need the baby steps.
Getting back to basics, family, and our children, our youth, boys and girls alike, need to have that self-worth. They have to know that they mean something and that they can be something. But it has to come from home, too. So maybe a program for parents on how to do that. And just think about it, if we start with the fundamentals, the children will grow up and they will have that in their system, and they will be better parents.
Fostering leadership, political leadership, getting people into office,
in San Francisco or in Oakland at the community level, supervisors at the state level, the assembly. We have organizations, Close the Gap, that are out there beating the bushes saying, we need women in office. And I think the Alliance for Girls as a way of identifying leaders and moving them into the system, so then we get childcare, we get health, because women are in those offices and they're thinking about it and fostering those programs.
Is not only getting the women in these powerful positions, but also teaching the men that are in those powerful positions how women like to be treated.
Technology and the role of technology in women's lives, especially young women, and the need for technology competence for every girl so that she can put her voice forward through social media and otherwise.
Social media has such an impact, and if you can get people tweeting to your local station or, advocating for the type of news that you do want to see, I see stories coming out of social media all the time, and we kind of talked about the power of that and how you can utilize it.
We recognize that what we need to do is change the culture of masculinity while empowering our young women to have their voices. We also recognize that it's going to take systems level approach so that we can dismantle this institutionalized perspective that women are somehow less than, and girls. And so we have to do all of that together. And we all have individual roles, right? And we have individual organizations. And how is it that we can come together and begin to create that change?
Having cross conversations between those who are marginalized and those who are non-marginalized, and actually naming the things like power, race, class, sex, gender, all of those things that give privilege, even to us in this room, and recognizing it and actually having conversations across barriers.
I'm going to ask each person to look that way and to identify 1, 2, 3. 1 is sufficient. So only put on your colored sticker, your Post-it, where you believe the Alliance for Girls should be focusing, because we're building a collective agenda. And what you put down has to be something you're willing to work on.
Thank you for leading us through that process. It was really wonderful. And as Laura said, Allison's going to be collecting your Post-its and creating Vision Part 2 right over there on the wall. This is really just the beginning of a new process. And 3 years ago when Alliance for Girls started, I know Jennifer touched on this, we asked our membership, we asked at the conference, what do you want to see? And now we're asking it again, 3 years later. We've grown, we're a new organization. What do you want to see and where do you want to be? And this is just the beginning. We're going to continue to look at this and go through this and develop a strategic plan around this with our members. So if you're a member, please get engaged, continue to engage with us in making this vision and these ideas a reality. And if you're not a member yet, please become a member and join us in this movement and in this effort to make what's on the board real, right? So thank you.